We have a game-changing archaeological discovery to share with you right from the shadows of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem.
For thousands of years, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem has stood as one of the most charged pieces of ground on earth. It is a place where history, faith, and power converge so tightly that even the act of studying it can alter the present. Sacred to Judaism, Islam, and revered within Christianity, the Mount is not simply an archaeological site. It is identity, memory, and belief layered in stone. And for that reason, it has remained largely untouched by excavation. Its deepest secrets sealed beneath centuries of construction, destruction, and devotion. Until now. In the early 2020s, a quiet shift took place in how scientists approached this forbidden ground. Instead of shovels, picks, and trenches, they turned to something far less visible and far more powerful. Artificial intelligence, combined with advanced ground-penetrating radar, was used to scan beneath the Temple Mount without lifting a single stone. The goal was modest on paper, to better understand known underground features documented in historical records. What emerged from those scans was anything but modest. According to researchers involved, the results forced even seasoned experts to reconsider what lies beneath one of the most sacred hills in human history. To understand why these findings matter, it is necessary to understand why the Temple Mount has remained closed to excavation for so long. Known to Jews as Har HaBayit and to Muslims as Haram al-Sharif, the Mount sits at the heart of Jerusalem's Old City. For Jews, it is the site of the first temple, built by Solomon, and the second temple, later expanded by Herod the Great. Within those temples was the Holy of Holies, the most sacred chamber in Judaism, believed to be the dwelling place of God's presence on earth. Its exact location is unknown, and because Jewish law forbids stepping on that space in a state of ritual impurity, many rabbis prohibit Jews from walking on the Mount at all. For Muslims, the site is equally sacred. It is home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, from which Islamic tradition holds that the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven during the night journey. For centuries, the Islamic Waqf has administered the religious affairs of the Mount, viewing any excavation as a violation of its sanctity. Politically, the site is no less volatile. Since 1967, Israel has maintained security control, while the Waqf manages day-to-day religious administration. The balance is fragile. Even minor changes to the status quo have triggered unrest, violence, and international crises. In this environment, archaeology is not neutral. Every stone, every shard, every discovery carries political weight. This is why the Temple Mount has often been called the most archaeologically significant site on Earth that cannot be excavated. Its history has been inferred through texts, peripheral digs, and underground explorations outside the Mount itself. One of the earliest figures to glimpse what lies beneath Jerusalem was a British officer named Charles Warren in the 1860s. Unable to dig on the Mount, Warren explored underground passages around it, descending into shafts, cisterns, and tunnels carved deep into bedrock. His work revealed that Jerusalem rests on a vast subterranean network, much of it ancient. One feature, later named Warren's Shaft, fueled speculation that it may have been used by King David's forces to enter the city. Yet even Warren was forced to stop at the edges. The Mount itself remained untouchable. That remained true well into the modern era. Then, in the late 1990s, an unexpected event changed the trajectory of research. During unauthorized construction work on the Temple Mount, large quantities of soil were removed and dumped into the Kidron Valley. No archaeological supervision was present. To scholars, it was a disaster. Priceless history had been displaced, stripped of context. But from that loss came an unconventional opportunity. In 2004, archaeologists launched the Temple Mount Sifting Project. If the mount could not be excavated, perhaps its soil could still speak. Volunteers from around the world sifted through the discarded earth, washing it through screens and carefully collecting artifacts. Over time, more than 500,000 objects were recovered. Pottery from the First Temple period, coins from the Hasmonean and Roman eras, oil lamps, glass, bone, metal fragments, seals bearing ancient Hebrew names, and ritual objects all emerged from what had once been treated as rubble. The sifting project proved two things beyond reasonable doubt. First, the Temple Mount was continuously active for thousands of years. Second, material culture from the First Temple period did exist on the Mount, even if it could not be excavated in place. The soil itself became a witness. Still, the deepest questions remained unanswered. What structures lay intact beneath the surface? Were any remnants of the First Temple preserved in situ? For decades, those questions were unapproachable. That changed when artificial intelligence entered the picture. Between 2021 and 2024, teams of engineers, archaeologists, and data scientists began applying AI-assisted ground-penetrating radar to areas around and beneath the Temple Mount. Ground-penetrating radar works by sending electromagnetic pulses into the ground and analyzing the signals that bounce back. On its own, the technology has limits, especially in dense urban environments. But when combined with AI, the data could be processed at a scale and resolution previously impossible. The AI was trained to recognize patterns consistent with man-made structures and to compare radar data against historical maps, including detailed British Mandate surveys from the early 20th century. These old maps documented known tunnels, cisterns, and walls, providing a baseline. When the AI overlaid modern scans with historical records, discrepancies began to appear. What the system detected went beyond known features. Beneath the mount, the scans revealed straight walls, angled corridors, and large voids with clean geometric boundaries. These were not random cavities or natural fissures. Their symmetry and orientation suggested intentional construction. Some matched features drawn on old maps but never fully explored. Others were entirely unknown. Among the most striking discoveries was a complex water system far larger than previously understood. Cisterns, channels, and aqueducts formed an integrated network beneath the mount, capable of storing and directing enormous quantities of water. Mineral analysis of deposits within these channels indicated multiple construction phases, some dating back to the 8th and 9th centuries BCE, aligning with the period of the kings of Judah. This finding alone reshaped understanding of the site. Biblical texts describe extensive purification rituals requiring vast amounts of water. Priests washed before service, sacrifices were cleansed, and sacred objects required ritual purity. The underground system revealed by the scans appeared engineered precisely to support such activity. It was not simply infrastructure for survival, it was infrastructure for worship. Deeper still, the scans revealed ash deposits in a large carved basin, suggesting the washing away of burnt offerings. Nearby, AI-enhanced imaging identified ashlar blocks, massive stones cut with a precision consistent with First Temple-era construction rather than later Herodian work. Geological analysis of these stones showed signatures matching quarries active during the 10th century, BCE. Then came the discovery that changed the tone of the entire investigation. Near the southern portion of the mount, the AI detected a sealed circular chamber carved directly into bedrock. Unlike surrounding tunnels, this chamber was perfectly round, approximately 10 feet in diameter, with no signs of collapse or later intrusion. Its entrance appeared deliberately sealed. Inside, the scans identified objects resting on the floor, a central stone basin, small oil lamps, and residue consistent with incense. Even more unsettling was an inscription carved into the chamber wall. Enhanced imaging suggested Paleo-Hebrew script, the writing system used during the First Temple period. Preliminary translation indicated a declaration associated with divine presence. Scholars familiar with ancient inscriptions noted striking parallels between the phrasing and descriptions of the Holy of Holies found in biblical texts. This was not decoration, it was designation. The oil lamps identified within the chamber were analyzed by typology, matching forms used in the 8th and 7th centuries BCE. These were not later imitations. They were consistent with daily ritual use during the First Temple era. The basin showed signs of prolonged exposure to ash, reinforcing the interpretation of sacrificial activity. If the identification is correct, the chamber may represent either the Holy of Holies itself or a closely related sacred space, preserved beneath layers of later construction. That possibility explains why researchers reacted with visible shock. The Holy of Holies was entered only once a year by the high priest on Yom Kippur. To find a sealed chamber matching its description, untouched for millennia, would be unprecedented. Even among cautious scholars, the convergence of evidence was difficult to ignore. First, Temple period lamps, ashlar stone matching Solomon-era quarries, a ritual basin with ash, an inscription declaring holiness, and a chamber sealed with deliberate care. At the same time, mainstream archaeology urges restraint. No physical entry has been made. The findings exist entirely in scans, data models, and indirect analysis. Extraordinary claims require confirmation, and in a site as sensitive as the Temple Mount, confirmation is not simple. Political, religious, and ethical considerations loom over every decision. Yet even without excavation, the implications are profound. The AI-assisted scans have demonstrated that the Temple Mount is not an empty platform built solely by Herod. It is a layered archive of sacred architecture, extending back to the earliest periods of Israelite worship. They have shown that technology can reveal history without desecration, offering a path forward where none existed. What unsettles many observers is not only what has been found, but what remains sealed. The chamber has not been opened. Its contents, beyond what radar can suggest, remain unknown. The idea that a sacred space associated with the divine presence may still exist beneath the mount challenges both academic assumptions and religious expectations. For believers, it reinforces ancient tradition. For skeptics, it demands new explanations. For historians, it bridges text and stone in ways rarely possible. And for the modern world, it poses a difficult question: what responsibility comes with knowing that such a place exists? The Temple Mount has endured conquest, destruction, rebuilding, and centuries of prayer. It has been Roman, Byzantine, Islamic, Crusader, Ottoman, British, Jordanian, and Israeli. Through it all, its core has remained inaccessible. Now, without breaking the ground, humanity has begun to see beneath it. The AI scans have not solved every mystery. They have not proven every tradition, but they have shifted the conversation permanently. The Temple Mount is no longer silent. Its underground architecture is speaking through data, patterns, and echoes of ancient hands. And the most sobering realization is this: what has been revealed so far may only be the outer layer. Beneath the most contested hill on Earth, history is still waiting.